All right, another session with Txabi Aboitiz. I'm hoping that our conversations are helpful for everyone. These are conversations that we're just private conversations we're having, and with the anticipation that a lot of you will probably want to know, assuming that people will want to know our answers to these questions. Okay, hi Txabi.
Hi, Pia.
Okay, so let's go to the list that was made for us. There's some questions here about leading organizations or leading your company. The first question that is on the list says, how do you encourage people in the organization to communicate their own core values or communicate the core values of the organization? How is this encouraged? Of course, we want it to be organic, right, Txabi? But as in your position, when you were leading the group for quite some time, how do you get to nudge them to communicate core values?
You know, it's also difficult to have them talk about our core values unless they can relate to it.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we tried to do was to see how our core values relate to them and what they considered as examples of what these values should represent. And so we compiled, I mean, that was one of the strategies we had. We compiled all of them. And in that, there was conversations, obviously, as to what behaviors would signify a good way of expressing the value, an okay way of expressing the value, and which behaviors don't espouse our values. So that was one way. I mean, the other was constant repetition. That's not as effective, but you know, repetition also is effective in some way. And then over time, I mean, it took a long time, right? I mean, these things can't be done overnight. People have to see it first. They have to experience the values before they can really talk about it. Right? And so even if it's their own personal values that they talk about, that's similar to what the corporate values are, it still takes a while, many years actually for us. So we kept our values constant for, you know, at least the past 10 years.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I know that the experience of the values is important, not just asking them how they can align those values to their own personal day-to-day. Of course, you're saying that they have to experience the values. How did you feel, what do you think was essential for the leaders or you the family? What was essential for the family then to be intentional about, so that leaders in your organization and eventually the organization would exemplify those values?
Well, first of all, we had to simplify it, right? I mean, things like integrity can mean so many things. So we try to simplify what we mean. And in our case, it was, we say what we do and we do what we say. You know, and that made it easier for people to understand what we really mean by that value. So things like that we did. And yeah, as family in the business, you know, we were conscious of it and make sure that when we talk or when we give instructions or when we deal with people, customers, suppliers, we had to be aware of those values.